This is Peak Productivity, the podcast for Asana lovers and productivity nerds. Today with Bastien, we're going to talk about Asana new features like the project new icons and new project views. We will also talk about good habits and good routines when onboarding on Asana. Welcome to Peak Productivity. Yeah, 3, 2, 1. We are on air. Hi, Bastien. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Back from holidays.
How went the holidays?
It was good, and I'd like to talk about this actually. If we can start with this, do you check your email and inbox during the holidays?
Yes, I do. Because usually I have I am not like 24/7 having fun or hiking or on the sea. So it's moments that I can have like 30 minutes to triage my messages or triage my Asana tasks are super positive when I come back. Otherwise, it's like I'm surrounded
Yes.
by by all these
Yeah,
tasks and
exactly.
messages.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing it. So you come back on the Monday, everything is clean, and you can start working. That's mostly why I do this. Also, might help my team to actually not be a blocker for them, but it's mostly to be able to come back. But at the same time, I'm wondering if I should just not do anything and really relax and not do any work. Because potentially you could have to deal with pretty nasty stuff or bad news or anything that could waste your holidays. So I don't know yet.
Well, my rule of thumb is that yeah, if it can provoke some anxiety, then maybe it's better to not check for
Yeah, but you never know
specific
before
topics.
opening your emails, right?
Yeah. But well, there are some messages that I like to snooze. It's like, okay, this is some problems. It's not a blocker, so I'll check it when I come back. But sometimes it's good to answer a couple of messages or just
Yeah.
check something. But yeah, I don't want to ruin my vacations with bad
Yes.
news. But on the other hand, I think it's good to keep going, especially because as we always say here, we at least I think that we all enjoy what we do and
Yes, we never have
allocating
bad
some
news,
time.
right?
We
Everything
don't
is
like bad news. Yeah, we don't like
rainbows and
that.
unicorns. But I
Yeah.
do have, when I'm not on holiday, I do have a rule now that says after 7 p.m., I don't check my emails in Asana. Because even a good news could actually start my brain running again, and I cannot sleep before very late at night. So after 7, I just don't check anything. Otherwise, I'm going to have some insomnia over something. Even if it's an exciting stuff, I might not be able to sleep.
Well, I think that I don't follow that rule. I can check emails and my Asana inbox even like 5 minutes before going to sleep. I think that
Really well.
one of the strengths that I've developed is being able, when I say I switched off, I can sleep perfectly.
I'd
I
love to
think
learn
that
that skill.
yeah, it's like, okay, that it's done now. I would say it's when it's not switching off, it's like switching on the let's rest. Now it's time to rest, so let's focus in other things that it's not work, it's not clients, it's not projects. So let's focus on other things that let me rest and be relaxed. So tomorrow I can start 100%. Today we're going to talk a lot about good habits. So I think it's good to start with this conversation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
It wasn't rehearsed at all. So
yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
good stuff.
So before jumping into that topic, I'd like to talk about a couple of new Asana features that we've been seen released in the past few days. One of them is the new icons for the projects. Before that new feature, you had just a bunch of icons and colors, but now you can upload any PNG or JPEG image. What do you think about this new feature?
Yeah, I actually was lucky enough to work with the product team in charge of this a couple of months ago, and they showed me the first draft they had, and we discussed the feature. And I'd like to think that the feature is what it is now, a little bit thanks to the discussion we had, because we made them change some of the stuff or actually confirm some of the intuitions they had. I think for a long time, and they confirmed that to me, for a long time, they wouldn't allow the design to be customized. And do you know why?
No.
Because people suck at design and they have very bad taste. So if you let people choose colors, if you let people choose backgrounds and icons, it's going to be ugly as hell. And when the tool is ugly as hell, and if you hire new people, they come in, they look at Asana, they say like, Asana sucks, it's ugly, it's awful, I don't want to use Asana. The problem is it's not Asana's fault, it's the people that set up the account. So I think for a very long time, they struggled and they waited and waited. But because they're focusing a lot more on the enterprise market expects to be able to customize a bit more. So I think that's why you have now Project Custom Icon. Um, and I was super excited about this, and I realized my team actually is not that excited about icons, mostly because they actually really use the colors. Because in the new feature, when you upload an icon, you lose the color background. You have to basically implement the color yourself in your icon. And my team was using the colors to recognize project and recognize the type of project it was. So when I started to replace those default icon and colors with my own icons, they just asked me to stop because they were actually losing value because they were using those colors. There's actually two use cases where we use icons. The client project have the client icon as the project icon. So it looks really good when we have the portfolio with all our clients. You have all those different logos from the clients. And also we have a portfolio with one project for each vendor we're working with. And we also have their profile picture or company logo. And I think it looks pretty good. I
Yeah,
hope one day I get to put icons everywhere, but my team just doesn't like it yet.
yeah, definitely. This is a side effect of this feature. If organizations were using some coloring code, if they switch to the new icons, they will lose these colors. But I agree that
Unless you embed the
especially,
color as a background, but it's just a bit more work.
yeah, if you have some extra work and you customize the client logo with the
Yeah, yeah.
background,
The other problem we had is we were using emojis heavily, and we had emojis in front of the project name everywhere. And when I uploaded icons, the icon basically was the same thing as the emoji. The design was the same. So my team said it doesn't look good. You have twice the same information. It's overwhelming. And if you remove the emoji, then there's a lot of places where you don't see the project icons. You only see the name. So you don't have the emoji anymore. So you basically, it's a lose-lose situation for now.
yeah, and also I struggle a little bit with those logos that might look good on a dark background, but not on a light
Yeah,
or the other way around.
yeah.
Yeah, we have to adjust and be familiarized with this new feature. The other new feature that Asana is launching in this mm, summer, let's say, it's
Mhm.
forecasted that it will be launched in all the organizations before the end of August, is the new project views, where you can
Saved views, yeah.
save, yeah, new layouts with filters and yeah, I and you can also remove some of the default views, like I don't
Exactly,
know,
yeah.
calendar. That helps to clean a little bit some projects where you don't need like the workflow or the calendar view, and just leave a couple of tabs. I think this is very positive. What do you think, Bastien?
Yeah, exactly. I think you have two benefits. The first one is the ability to remove any view that doesn't make sense, because even though each layout, so we have list, board, calendar, and timeline, each one might make sense. There's a lot of project where it just doesn't make sense. For example, if you don't have dates on your tasks for whatever reason, timeline and calendar just doesn't make sense. So you really want to remove those tabs. That's the first benefit. The other one is the ability to create several times the same layout, like the list layout, and apply different filters. And we've done this in a project we have. It's a very interesting concept. We were never used to think this way, and for a very long time we told people that a project should not mix different types of tasks. But because you can now create two views, you can potentially have one project that mixes things that don't go together, but use different tabs to show those two parts. So, for example, if you have a very big list of things to do, I don't know, launch a webinar, for example, and you have people from accounting as well as marketing, each one of them could have their own tab. They would be looking at the same project, but with a different filter. And in the past, you could always apply filters, but you would have to click and click and click, and it's a bit harder to do. So it's very interesting, and I'm looking forward to see what people will do with this.
Yeah, definitely. This feature, along with the multi-filter, opens a whole
Yes,
new world
yeah,
of
very good. And
opportunities.
also multi-sort, revert sorting. Finally, we have all of this available, so it's very exciting.
Yeah, I think that in the next months we will discover plenty of new use cases for this new feature. But so far, I love it, and we've applied in several projects that we were always discussing what should be the default view, because since you have to
Yes.
save the layout for everyone, it was like, no, I think that this one should be the default view. Now you can have these multiple views, and it's much better. Probably it will go against, as you said, it will go against creating different projects to work in one real project.
Yeah.
This it's it's good.
And what I like about
Always
the project icons and the saved views as feature is that it doesn't take away anything. It doesn't break anyone's workflow, because we've seen in the previous episodes we talk about stuff that actually breaks people's workflow and they go crazy and it just wastes people time. In that case, it just adds value and you can decide to use or not those specific feature. Just one thing to mention, project icons are only enterprise. And this is something
good.
we might overlook sometimes, because I think we both have an enterprise account, but not everyone has. So it's only enterprise. And the saved views, I actually don't know. I think it might be available to everyone, isn't it? I
Yeah,
can check.
that's a very good point.
I'm gonna check saved views. I have my own roadmap, so I'll have a look.
Do you know why
Yeah, it's
the
available to
list?
everyone.
Do you know why the list view is the only one that can't be removed from a project?
Isn't it because it's the last one displayed on your screen? You really can't remove the list.
I think it's not. It's not. Yeah, the remove option is not
That's right.
enabled
List
in.
cannot be removed from the project. That's surprising.
I don't
Okay.
know. I'm sure that this is tied to something else, but I can't
I
figure
can
out what.
definitely understand the danger of only having timeline or calendar, because if you don't have a date on a task, basically that task goes nowhere if you only look at timeline and calendar. But the board view, you should be able to have either list or board in addition to either one of those if you only need one. What I
Probably
would
is
love is, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, probably it's because if you remove the list view and leave only the board view, then Asana is like Trello, and they
Yeah, that's
want
why
to
they
make
do
like the
that.
difference.
Yeah, yeah. There's a joke inside Asana that says Trello is an Asana feature.
Yeah, yeah. That's totally true.
One
Yeah,
one thing I would expect with this feature is the ability to have something that says remove all other views. So basically, you go to the list, you select the three dot menu, and you say remove all the others, because you have a lot of clicks if you want to remove all the others. So I hope they do that one day.
yeah. Or maybe in the customize section, um, next to rules and sections and all this components of the project, maybe there will be the tabs option, and you can
Oh, maybe.
multi-select,
Yeah.
or this might it. I don't know. I when I saw that feature, I went to the customize view
Mm,
to check if that there was an option to play with the tabs, but
fair
it's
enough.
not there yet. Yeah, well, we
Hey,
said at the
just a
beginning.
reminder, yeah,
Yeah,
just a reminder for ourselves. For the next episode, we have to talk about the editor feature. I don't think we talked about this one, and it's a big change. So new permission at the project
yeah,
level.
yeah, that's true. That's true, and that was one of the complaints that I'm sure that all the Asana consultants have faced many times. The lack of some roles on
You want to
Asana
talk about
that,
this now?
well, that's okay. Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah, so basically, projects have for a long time they had comment only permission and what was the name? Edit permission.
yeah.
And
Edit.
now the edit became admin, and between admin and comment only, you now have editor. The editor is basically someone, and correct me if I'm wrong, someone that doesn't have access to the customize menu. I
Yeah,
think
it's someone that can create tasks but cannot play with
change
the
the structure.
structure of
Yeah.
the project.
Yeah, which is amazing because a lot of people need this. The only problem we have at the moment is when they put that feature in place, everybody, the owner of the project became the admin and everybody else became editor. And we had the problem yesterday with the team. We were doing some cleanup and I stumbled upon project in which I couldn't even archive the project because I was only an editor. But that project, I mean, I can do whatever I want. I'm like an admin. I'm a super admin, and it's a different topic. But I should be able to do whatever I want, and it's not the case. And in some companies, you have one person, let's say Gary, that creates everything. Gary is long gone, but if you don't deprovision that account, then you end up with every single project being locked from anyone being able to do anything. I think that might happen, and I think the support will have a shit ton of requests to unlock those projects. Have you had problems with the feature?
Not yet, but I think that it was needed because the
Yes.
edit role had too much power in a project, and the comment role had was too few. So there was a role needed in between. Um, I don't know if this is something that might be adjusted automatically from support, that they can assign those that have edit permission, promote them to admin, and only those new users that you assign an editor role. I don't know, but
Yeah, it's unclear at the
definitely
moment.
they will have a lot of requests if if
And I had one a couple of days ago. A client of mine contacted the support saying, I have 1,000 projects I'm locked out of. What can you do to help? And I think they haven't found a solution yet. I think the API doesn't allow anything yet. So it's a bit of a mess right now.
Yeah, I think that it will be super helpful, this new role. Again, Asana has fewer type of roles than other competitor tools, but
Which makes it easy to use as well. That's something we like.
yeah,
We like the tool to be easy. And I had someone on the phone yesterday, and she was explaining her use case, and she was saying, "I need this," and I was telling her, "You do need this, but most people don't need this." And she told me, "Yes, but why don't they put a button to let me choose if I want to enable this?" And I told her that that's Asana will not do this, and that's why we like Asana because it stays simple, and you don't have that ton of buttons everywhere just to customize everything. But at the same time, you don't get to customize anything.
yeah, I think that, and this is something that we as consultants have to put on the table at the very first moment when we engage with
Yes.
a client is, if you choose Asana, you are choosing a mindset of transparency, empowerment, if you want to be very restrictive when it comes to permissions, when it comes to accessing projects and information, probably Asana is not your tool.
It's a
And
very good
this,
point. And yeah, I came to that realization a couple of weeks ago as well. And when I start feeling that the client wants to go in a different ways, I tell them right away, I agree with you. You have to agree with Asana's philosophy. That's what the philosophy is. I explain. And sometimes they say, okay, it's fine. And sometimes they just say, it doesn't work for me. I have to be able to lock everybody down and have that very granular way of setting permissions. They want to lock down a field. They want to hide information from people. It just doesn't work that way.
yeah, I always say that Asana is super flexible, super transparent, and you, on the other hand, you have traceability. You can monitor, you can track everything. You have all these logs with changes and everything that happened within a task or within a project. So
Yeah, but at the same time, you have all those logs, but people can remove them. People can delete project or delete task. You don't even know that it was deleted. So at the moment, it's a bit in between, and they had this very open and rainbow and unicorns philosophy. But because they're working with bigger and bigger companies, I think they get confronted with the fact that it just doesn't apply to big companies. So I'm really waiting to see what they're going to decide, because if they want to still address the enterprise market, they might have to go a bit deeper in terms of security, but they probably want to keep that same philosophy. I really don't know what they're going to do.
yeah, definitely this is the direction that seems to be going. At least the new features and the new product. And yeah, probably the philosophy until now it had a better fit with startups or scale ups
Yes.
where there's more an open mindset and transparency. But again, yeah, when you're facing corporate clients, I remember we had a potential engagement with a bank, and they said, no, we can't let our users to move these custom fields or to create or invite or we will see. We'll see.
Yeah, and sometimes I agree with them. The other day I had a client where someone just deleted a custom field that was used everywhere, and it's just a big mess. And you can tell them that you have to trust people and be open, and just the reality is sometimes people mess up on purpose or not, but they do create some mess. And even if you don't go as far as this, I talked with a client one day. The flying unicorns, they
Yeah.
wanted to disable that company wide because they said it's completely unprofessional. So that's where the two worlds actually collapse, and you see that they want to they don't agree with that philosophy of unicorns and rainbows.
Yeah. So again, I think it's good to have this conversation probably in
Yeah,
during
at
the
first.
sales stage of the process and say, look, Asana has this philosophy, this mindset. It's important that you are aligned with that. Otherwise, you will be finding problems at every moment. Cool. We said we were going to talk about good habits. Also, this is a topic that arises in any engagement. That it's when you choose Asana, you are choosing a tool, but you also have to choose good habits, good routines in your team. Asana, it's not a magic tool. Will help you a lot, but you also need to adjust your daily routines. What's your advice uh, around this topic?
I think what has the biggest impact is um, using Asana, putting Asana at the center of everything, and using Asana during meetings. If you start using Asana during meetings, what's going to happen is people will update Asana because they know that it's going to be used during the meeting. They don't want to be the person that is pointed at because the thing was not updated. And if you use it during the meeting, you will also update the Asana account during the meeting live and change stuff during the meeting. So as a result, people would then use Asana because everything is actually within Asana. You don't have the meeting minutes being sent to everyone after the meeting. I think that's a good habit. one of the best habit to have, but also one of the hardest, is to convince people that Asana Inbox Zero is the way to go. And then the My Task view is the most important view, and they have to learn how to use it. And too often I have people tell me that they use Asana by reading notifications they receive by email. That's their way of working. It's a shame, and it makes me angry because they just miss a big part of Asana, and it's just not the way it was supposed to be. So trying to convince them that keeping a clutter-free account and a clean My Task and Inbox is really the way to go. I don't really have a tip. The only thing I do is I show them, I try to convince them that's the way to go. I show them how my account is structured, and I hope that they get convinced. And sometimes they also see other people being successful at Asana, and they realize that's because they use My Task and Inbox properly.
Yeah, I like to show them how Asana is embedded in a normal day
Okay.
in their office. Like when you arrive at the office, you open your computer, you check Asana either on the web version or the desktop app. You check your My Task, you triage your task, you prepare your workday, then you go to your inbox, you archive the notifications or you create follow-up tasks. Then you work on the task. Then at lunchtime, you check again the inbox. So probably checking twice or three times per day your inbox and cleaning it and removing all the notifications and adjusting the My Task to the real work you do and the planning of your week and the planning of your month. But to make sure that they integrate Asana to their daily routines the same way they have Outlook or Gmail or
Yeah, but
Slack
that's the
or Teams
problem,
integrated.
because the discussion we have right now, we should be having the same one about emails, and we should be training people on how to use email. People don't know how to use email. Most people do not do inbox zero. Most people do not archive anything. They just keep that list of email. They use email as a task list. So most people don't use email properly, or at least effectively. So when you put Asana in their hand, I think they do the same thing. They go to the inbox. They don't archive anything. They use the inbox as a task list in addition to email and My Tasks. So you end up with 3 different task lists. And I think that's the problem. You have to teach them those habits that they actually never had because they were not using email properly in the first place.
Yeah, when it comes to advice, I recommend if they have time to read two books. One of them is Getting Things Done by David Allen, and
I
the other
hate this
one
book. It's
is
awful. Do you really recommend them to read the book? It's really long. It can be summarized in like 1 page.
yeah, yeah. Well, actually, especially because it's like a long explanation of the methodology to have like one inbox, not email
Yes.
inbox, Asana inbox, like having only one inbox where you triage your tasks, then you have what you have to do today, next week, and someday. And the other book is Atomic Habits by James Clear, that works on that concept that compounding your good habits is a good investment in your future. You and but it's very important, and it's not a matter of understanding how Asana works. That this might be pretty easy, and this is something that it can be learned, but adapting your own routines, your own habits to work with Asana.
Which is really hard because even for us, for example, I've talked with my partner about this a lot. My partner at I do. Uh, I tried to convince him that inbox zero was the way to go, and for a long time he would tell me that it doesn't need inbox zero. He's on top of everything. He knows exactly what he has to do, and I had to push and push and push up to the day that he actually tried, and then he realized that it was a big he had this overwhelming feeling all the time because he had to remember all those emails. He would reread the list of emails all the time, and it wasn't effective enough. but I had to push, and even him, that is one of the best I know at productivity, even him I had to push and push up until he realized that it made sense. So when it comes to clients, we can't push every day. We don't talk to them every day, so it's hard. But when they realize, when they have that haha moment, it's amazing. If you're there to watch it and see them realize how good it is, it's amazing.
Do you have any tip regarding when you have to create a task on Asana and when it's not necessary? Because this is another conversation when we talk about habits and routines. People say, so now I have to put everything that I need to do on Asana. Is there any rule? Uh, David Allen has a rule for that.
Oh,
That's
really?
the
It does?
golden
I
rule.
don't remember. I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, it's
To
the 2 minute
me,
rule.
oh
If
yeah,
something
yeah.
takes less than 2 minutes, do it. Don't the Asana version would be, if it takes longer to create the task than doing the
Yes.
task, do it directly.
Yeah, but that's funny because I talked with my partner about this, and he told me, um, yeah, right, but I could end up doing 2 minute thing all day, every day because we have so much stuff to do. So I can't just do everything just because it takes a few seconds or a few minutes. So I think my rule is, if it's not in Asana, it sits in your email or it sits in your brain. And those two places are not the right place to store anything you have to do. So very often I would capture something as a task, even if it takes 1 minute to do. And I would then do that when that's the right time, because that's also something you have to take into account. Even if it takes a few seconds, sometimes it's not the right time. If I think about something right now while we talk, it's not the right time to do anything. So I can capture that very, very quickly and do that later. I could even later decide not to do that thing, but I would really capture all the time and then clean up my task view on a regular basis. But to me, unless you can deal with an email right away, it usually has to become a task.
Cool. And in the case of organizations that are starting to use Asana, and that usually they have this problem that they have tasks spread all over their tools, Outlook or Teams, or even in front of the coffee machine, people tell you to do some tasks you have to do. What's your advice? How hard has to be the team when it comes to saying no? Please don't leave a post-it on my screen. Create me a task on Asana.
I think you have to lead by example. For example, I'm super productive and I'm going to do whatever you ask me if there is a task for it. If you just tell me at the coffee machine, if I don't do that thing, it's not my fault, it's your fault. So if you want something to be done effectively and quickly, you have to assign me a task. That's the way I work. And I think at first, you might even have to force yourself not to work on things that don't follow your rules, just to be able to show them it was done late. It was not late, but it wasn't done quick because you didn't follow the rule. Next time, follow the rules, and it's gonna be done quicker. I think that could be one way to address this. And then it's about culture, and you might need to appoint champions that would try to um, remind that message to everyone. No Asana, no work. If it's not in Asana, it doesn't exist. If you need something from someone, you can talk about it at the coffee machine, but you need to end up with the task somehow. Whoever creates the task, wherever the task goes, it has to be represented as a task, because that person might not be able to do that right away, and you don't want to burden them with the fact that they have to remember they have to do something, because that's what's happening, right? When you talk with someone at the coffee machine, you tell them, can you do something? You basically throw something at them and hoping they will remember, and that's a burden you put on them. So I would like to put the burden back on the person that needs something and force them to write down a task, even a simple one, and assign that task to me.
Yeah,
You agree?
usually when you face this situation, I challenge them to create that task, and I show them how fast it is to create a task using, for instance, the Asana mobile app. You
Yeah.
can dictate the task. It takes even less than sending a WhatsApp message, for instance. So again, it's a matter of etiquette, and it's a matter of good habits and good routines.
Yeah, and this, I think this is something we talked about the last time, but in his last book, Nick Sonnenberg talks about the fact that sometimes your personal productivity has to take a hit so that the team productivity rises. And I think that's a good example. Not being able to throw something at someone takes a hit on your own personal productivity because you have to do the work, but the team overall benefits from that structure that you put when you create a task properly in the right project with the right information.
Good, good. As always, good insights, a good conversation. We reach the end of this fourth episode of Peak Productivity, and next week we will come with more Asana content and with more thoughts about productivity with Bastien. As always, you have our website addresses on the comments. So if you need more information about Asana, we will be super happy to help you. Aido, clarity.com,
Clarity.com.
and volcanic.agency. See you next week. Bastien, thank you very much. As always, a
Thank you. Bye.
pleasure. Thank you.